Alright guys, for this last example, they want us to find the x-intercept for the following quadratic using the completing the square method. So y equals x squared minus 8x plus 2. And completing the square is the way we've been solving it the last few days. So without further ado, let's get started. So remember, when we are looking at the x-intercept, we are trying to figure out what happens when y is equal to 0. So the first thing we got to do is change our y to 0. The next step is going to be to get rid of our c term. So we're going to do that by subtracting 2 from both sides. Let's go ahead and subtract this 2 over here. Now it's gone. And remember, if we do it on the right, we've got to do it on the left as well. Now we're missing a c term. So the only way we could find our c term, other than drawing this out and trying to figure out what happens, is just to take x squared minus 8x. We're going to take this b term and divide it by 2. So negative 8 divided by 2 we know is negative 4, but let's prove that. So there's negative 8 divided by 2 is going to give us negative 4. And we're not going to put negative 4 on the end because we have to square it. That's the next thing we're going to do, is we're going to take negative 4 and square it right there, and that's going to give us positive 16. So let's add 16 to the right, which means we have to add 16 to the left. This is going to give us 14, because negative 2 plus 16 is 14, and you can check that on a calculator if you don't believe me. Now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take this quadratic and we're going to have to factor it. So let's actually give ourselves another line for that. And we know that if we take our x and just write it out, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say 14 is equal to, and we know we're going to have two binomials. So we know both of them are going to start with an x because that is our variable. And the other one is going to be half of our b term. Well, half of negative 8 is negative 4. We already found that earlier. So let's do negative 4 and negative 4 again. Now what that tells us is that if we wanted to find 14, it is x minus 4 to the second power, because x minus 4 times x minus 4 is x minus 4 squared. So let's actually just change that to a squared. All right, we're getting closer. We got to get rid of the square to mess with x minus 4. So in order to get rid of the square, we're just going to square root both sides. So let's go ahead and put all of this under a square root. Let's see if this does it. Yes, it does. And we're going to put this under a square root as well. There we go. All right, remember, when we square root a number, it is not just that. We need to plus minus it. So let's go ahead and add those plus minuses right here. All right. Now, when we square root this x minus 4 squared, those two things are going to cancel out. So let's go ahead and give ourselves another line here. We can actually copy this first half, except not changing. Is going to be the square root of x minus 4 squared, which is just x minus 4, equals x minus 4. And these parentheses are no longer necessary. All right, last step, we need to isolate this x. We're going to do that by adding 4 to both sides. So we're going to add 4 here. It disappears. And we're going to put a positive 4 right there. So x is equal to 4 plus root of 14 and 4 minus root of 14. Well, if the root of 14 can be simplified, we need to do that. 14 divided by 2 is 7, so it's 2 and 7. Both of those are prime numbers, so we can't really do anything with those. So 4 plus and minus the root of 14. Well, let's actually find out what those are. Let's go ahead and first find the positive one. So 4 plus the root 14 is going to be equal to, well, let's first find out what the root of 14 is. So 14 rooted gives us a big old long ugly number, but let's just call it 3.74. Then we're going to go ahead and add 4 to that, plus 4. We're going to get 7.74 approximately. So 7.74 is going to be one of our roots. The other one is going to be, well, what happens when we take 4 and we subtract the root 14? What's that going to give us? Well, we know that the root of 14 is 3.74, so let's take 4 and subtract 3.74. 4 minus 3.74 is going to give us approximately 0.26. 0.26. We have our two roots. Now, can we prove that these two roots are the actual roots? Well, in order to do that, we need to bring back our original equation, which if you remember is y equals x squared minus 8x, let's say plus 2. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take this equation right here and let's just plug it on into Desmos. So here's our handy dandy Desmos. Y equals x squared minus 8x plus 2. And you can see it is a parabola where one of our roots is approximately 0.26 and the other one is approximately 7.74, which is exactly what we got. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.